Hello and welcome to English Einsteins. Today we are discussing how to pass your GCSE Macbeth exam. We will look at an exam question together, in particular how Macbeth is portrayed, the journey he goes on through the play, and we will also break down some key quotes. All of this will prepare you to answer your Macbeth GCSE question. So, what do we know about Macbeth? He is an archetypal tragic hero, which means he is a typical example of a tragic hero because he is driven by his hamasha, which means his weakness. For Macbeth, this is his ambition. It's good to have ambition, of course, but not to the extent of killing a king, or anyone for that matter. He decides to choose a malevolent path, but is he all bad? Arguably not, because his actions do trouble him. So, this is the example GCSE question we will be looking at today. Explain how Shakespeare presents Macbeth as the archetypal tragic hero. We need to delve into what this phrase really means, archetypal tragic hero. So, the person who came up with the idea of a tragic hero is a Greek philosopher called Aristotle. Therefore, we can call these characters Aristotelian tragic heroes. They have to begin the play as honourable, respected, and with high status. Just like Macbeth, he is seen as brave and noble at the very beginning. They then have to have a tragic downfall because of their hamasha, or their weakness. For Macbeth, that's his vaulting ambition, excessive ambition. The play always ends in catastrophe, usually the death of the tragic hero. Before he dies, he finds life completely meaningless. He says life is but a walking shadow. That is him at the rock bottom of his tragic downfall. This is more like how a question will be presented. You have an introduction, which tells you whereabouts in the play this extract can be found. So, it says, the extract below comes from Act 1, Scene 2. The wounded sergeant is reporting what he has seen of Macbeth on the battlefield. Read the extract and answer the question that follows. Then there'll be some text, like you see here. It says, doubtful it stood, as two spent swimmers that do cling together, and choke their art. The merciless MacDonald, worthy to be a rebel, but all's too weak for brave Macbeth, and he deserves that name. Disdaining fortune with his brandished steel, which smoked with bloody execution, like Valor's minion carved out his passage, till he faced the slave, which never shook hands nor bade farewell to him, till he unseamed him from the nave to the chaps, and fixed his head upon our battlements. And then finally you have the actual question. So here it says, starting with this extract, explain how Shakespeare presents Macbeth as the archetypal tragic hero. You should comment on how Macbeth is presented in this extract, how Macbeth is presented in the rest of the play. So we need two quotes from the text in front of us, which show Macbeth as a tragic hero. For us then, we're going to look at this quote here. Brave Macbeth, he is well respected at the beginning. And also this one, till he unseamed him from the nave to the chaps. This shows he is inherently barbaric. It's built into him to be bloodthirsty before he is manipulated by anybody. Perhaps this lack of self-control is his weakness or his hamasha, leading to his tragic downfall. We also need two more quotes from the rest of the play. So we want one that shows Macbeth's weakness and one that shows Macbeth at the rock bottom of his downfall. So this quote in particular shows his weakness. I have no spur, but only vaulting ambition. That is his character flaw. And also, this one shows Macbeth at the rock bottom of his downfall. Life is but a walking shadow. So, here is a summary of the plot. His tragic downfall. He starts off as a military hero, very masculine. He's the Thane of Glamis. He defeats MacDonald. The witches tell Macbeth he will be king and bankroll that his descendants will be king. Macbeth is persuaded by Lady Macbeth to kill King Duncan. So he's been manipulated by the witches and Lady Macbeth, and you could argue that this is causing his tragic downfall as well. Macbeth becomes paranoid and he has Banquo killed, so there's a succession of malevolent acts from Macbeth, leading further into his downfall. The witches give more prophecies. They say, "Beware Macduff, and none of women born shall harm Macbeth." This leads to him becoming more arrogant and hubristic. Macbeth kills the family of Macduff. Macduff joins with Duncan's son to defeat Macbeth. Lady Macbeth becomes psychologically unstable and she dies. Macduff and Malcolm attack Macbeth, and finally he is killed by Macduff. So looking at these quotes in more detail, then we need to break these quotes down so we have a lot to write about. Firstly, brave Macbeth, well, he deserves that name. He is an Aristotelian tragic hero because at the very beginning he is seen as successful, he's trusted, he's positioned for his downfall. Throughout the video I will highlight everything in green, which are most important things to say in this answer. He is respected, he has more to lose because he starts off in this position. This causes pity in the audience because he starts as noble and he loses so much. Another word for pity there then is catharsis. The adjective brave shows that Macbeth is praised as a military hero. He's admired for his heroism at the beginning. I've highlighted the word adjective because it's very, very important to make clear which word type Shakespeare uses, what technique Shakespeare uses. Okay, that is going to get you the marks in your GCSE exam. He uses the adjective brave to suggest that Macbeth is admired for his heroism. The Scottish hierarchy has reverence for Macbeth at this point, all the way to the top at King Duncan. Good, so you need to have these notes written down, so pause the video here, get the notes written down, then we'll move on to the next quote. Next one. Till he unseamed him from the knave to the chaps. Here Macbeth seems barbaric, bloodthirsty and excessively violent. He does show his loyalty to the King of Scotland by killing the enemy MacDonald. Therefore he's positioned for his tragic downfall because he's loyal, he's noble and he's honourable at the beginning. Remember we said the Aristotelian tragic hero has to start off as honourable, respected, noble, high status. This metaphor, unseamed, shows that he rips MacDonald open like clothing. Seams are the parts of clothing that join like your sleeve to the torso of your jumper, for example. So he's literally tearing MacDonald open, which makes Macbeth seem inhumane, like he has no value for life. He clearly has a mercurial temper before the witch's manipulation. Mercurial means it changes really quickly, like the mercury in a thermometer. So he has a mercurial temper before he's manipulated by anybody. This lack of control that he has could be his hamartia. It's important you write that in your answer because you want to constantly link it back to Macbeth being a tragic hero. Finally then, we've got here that Freud would argue that Macbeth's id has become dominant. You may or may not know about Sigmund Freud, so let's go into a little bit more detail so that we can weave this into our answer and sound even more sophisticated. So Freud is a psychologist from the 19th century who believes there are three parts of the human psyche. First is the superego, which is the moral, the good side, the conscience in every person. Then you have the evil side, the id, which is the malevolent animalistic desires that each person has. In the middle then you have the ego, is the rational side to a person which moderates between the id and the superego, almost like a referee. So we can tie this into Macbeth, which will make us sound extra smart. Next quote, I have no spur, but only vaulting ambition. Metaphorically, where he says he has no spur, where Shakespeare writes no spur, this means he has Macbeth has no motivation to commit regicide. Okay, because a spur is what cowboys have on their boots to encourage a horse to ride faster. Okay, so he doesn't have any of those spurs to motivate him to do this regicide. The adjective vaulting suggests Macbeth's ambition is excessive and it's overleaping. It's too much. He knows this. He's confessing it himself that this is his hamartia. Aristotle would suggest that Macbeth's ambition is his hamartia, and that's what leads him to catastrophe and tragic downfall. The word vault could allude to the gunpowder plot, where the traitors were caught in the vault of Parliament. So Shakespeare is deliberately alluding to this act of treason. He's comparing Macbeth to the gunpowder plotters. Shakespeare shows that treason, going against the king, leads to tragic downfall and turmoil. Also down here, Macbeth would go to the 9th circle of hell for his treachery. That is according to Dantean reading. And Nietzsche would argue that Macbeth has an excessive will to power. For more information about these theories and to go into a deeper analysis of these quotes, pushing for that grade 9, sign up to English Einstein's Education. The link will be below. See you there. Finally, last quote. Life is but a walking shadow. Macbeth has had a realization that his life and ambition was futile, temporary, ephemeral. The metaphor of shadow suggests his life has become hollow because of his hamartia, his weakness, also because of his tyranny and his hubris. Hubris means his pride and his arrogance. Furthermore, the noun shadow shows that Macbeth's torment is inescapable, like his tragic fate. As we see in this picture here, a person's shadow never leaves them whilst the light is on, just like Macbeth's torment and his tragic fate. His life feels intangible to him. It lacks substance and value now. It's almost as if Macbeth's id and his excessive will to power has driven him to nihilism. Nihilism is the belief that life is meaningless. That's the state of Macbeth's mind right now. Lastly then, Macbeth's ambitions and power have become like illusions to him. They are like the shadows on the wall in Plato's cave allegory. Again, to find out more, sign up to the link below, English Einstein's Education. Moving on then, Macbeth is presented as a tragic hero because think about the 3 parts which consist of being a tragic hero. Next question, Macbeth is presented as a tragic hero when he views life. How does he view life towards the end? And lastly, Macbeth is presented as a tragic hero in order to warn the audience about what? What is Shakespeare warning the audience about? What I want you to do here is pause the video and answer these sentences. So once you've done that, here is a model introduction you can use for Macbeth. I want you to fill in the blanks. So at its heart, Macbeth, written in approximately 16 something, I'm going to just leave that to you, is a transgressive, didactic and instructive morality play that aims to not only support someone, but also warns the audience about something in particular. Shakespeare crafts Macbeth as a tragic hero who begins the play as, how does he begin the play? And has a something downfall because of his something. That is a model introduction you can revise to put straight into your Macbeth exams. Now guys, we're going to leave it there today. You have all the notes, you have an introduction, and you have this knowledge about what a tragic hero is. To find out much more, sign up to English Einstein's Education using the link below. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. Speak to you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.